Hello again, everybody. This is Derek, and I am back at you with another Wargaming in Miniature video. We are starting our Wargaming Weekly. Which I try to do once a week, but lately I've been doing it more than once a week. Cleaning my glasses so that I can get ready to paint. I would like to also record my store news update as well. We'll probably do the store news update first because it'll be actually maybe 10-15 minutes long. I don't anticipate it being very long. And then we'll get into painting. I did a little work over the weekend, but not a whole lot, because Saturday I was preparing for my Traveler game and trying to get new players in, because we only had 3 people make a character. So I opened it up for additional players, and we got 4 more players. So actually I'm sitting on 7 players right now, and we made characters yesterday afternoon. And now I'm just putting the finishing touches on the campaign, and all of that should be out of the way, and I should be able to concentrate more on painting. I have a chew in my mouth, so if it sounds like I'm sucking on something, it is because I am. But it's almost done. It's almost gone. It's actually a kaopectate chew for upset stomachs. It's that guy right there. Soft chew. If you have an upset stomach, I recommend it. Like, if I was to rate, like, Pepto and kaopectate, I would actually put kaopectate just a step above. I think it's actually a better, works faster, I should say. Maybe not better, but it works faster, I think. And I'm not going to start the store news update until that's gone, because I don't want to have yums in my video. But it doesn't really matter, because when I do, wow, my video is like super clear. Maybe it's because I clean my glasses. If you guys want to chat with me, go ahead. If you got questions or just want to say hi, that's fine too. But we are making progress on these guys. Realistically, 3 days probably. 3 days, completely based, washed, ready to go. Flags and everything. But I still have the cavalry to do, so everything probably won't be done till Friday. I was thinking about putting a little color on this officer because because he's very similarly painted or very similar colors to these guys. I was kind of wanting to keep up with this guy, but I'm kind of putting it off, and I think I'm going to do both of these cavalry gentlemen with the cavalry because I have to do their horses and stuff too. Okay, so I'm not really going to interact with you guys. Just I'm going to turn record on, and then I'm going to record a Wargaming Weekly, and then and I don't think I've got any notes for it. Hold on. Yeah, the last one I did was November or December 4th. Let me type up my notes real quick. Should be pretty fast. Okay, that is true. That is true. Ah, that's true. True, and I got 2 of them. I think that's old and PSC actually. Trying to remember. All right, we'll go with that. Because I don't think anything else that really changed. Agonism. I did finish something. Not figures though. All right, here we go. I'm going to start recording. Hello again, everybody. This is Derek, and I'm coming back at you with another Wargaming and miniature video. In today's video, we're going to continue on with our store news update. And in today's store news update, we're going to touch on usually what I do during these store news updates. And I do them usually weekly, usually at the end of the week or the start of the week. We talk about what I'm working on, what I finished, like what kind of new supplies that I've gotten in, what kind of product I've gotten in, as well as any news that I want to share. Now, not a lot has happened this week that you aren't already aware of, so I'm going to try to just breeze through this pretty quick, make this a quick video. I'm recording it while I'm doing my Wargaming Weekly live stream, so there's that. All right, so what have I finished? Well, there is something I finished. Now you see these paints along the wall here, but I also have a spinner over here, and I've got paints up on the, mostly washes, up on the wall over there. So what I did was I went through all of my bottle paints like this, right? The Vallejo, AK, Warlord Games, the war paints from Army Painter, any of those types of paints that come in those kind of bottles. I basically took them all down and I went through all of them, looking for duplicates, because sometimes I'll have like 2 bottles of the same paint. So I went through, because a little while ago I bought multiples of paints knowing I was going to need them, and then I would put them on the shelf, and then I would put one over here. But when I started rearranging the shelf, I decided to go ahead and put them all on my table. And then I realized I was starting to run out of room because I just purchased some new AK paint and I needed some place to put them. So I decided to go ahead and go through all of my paint, pull out all my duplicates. I put them in a tub and they're on the shelf over there. And there's probably about 30 paints over there. So that's something I got accomplished. And that opened up a good section of my paint rack here where I was able to put my new AK paints in. All right, so what supplies have I gotten in? I'm going to jump to that. What supplies have I gotten in? Well, I got in some AK paint, right? I got in these paints right here. There's a couple of fleshes. I got in a gray, a blue, a salmon, right? A Dunkelgelb, the alternative version, a khaki and a desert color. And then I got this white in, which is not really white. It's more of a gray color. I'm trying to remember what color it actually calls itself. White gray. So it is a white, it's just white gray. Like Russian uniform, but that's an AK Russian uniform and not a Vallejo. And I got some orange brown. And then this is light flesh, but it looks darker to me than, okay, that's the salmon. I'm going to put the salmon, which salmon to me looks like flesh. And then we've got radiant flesh, which I guess that's lighter, but that's more pinkish brown. I don't know, but it's called light flesh. I think they're basic skin tone, and then light flesh. I mean, that just doesn't make sense. I don't know. Whatever. All right, so but I got those paints in, and basically plugged some holes that I had in my paint. All right, what else? V&V. Okay, I did get in my V&V. Okay, this is what product I got in. Well, I got some V&V models in. I recorded a video that does a close-up of the models and all the parts and pieces and stuff like that. And I got like 9 models. So that's going to be part 1 of a 2-part video. The second part is I'm going to have them assembled and maybe painted. I'm not sure how I want to do that. But so that video, that first half of the video is already recorded. It's just saved on the hard drive. I'm not touching it until I get the second half ready to go. Once I do the second half, then I'll edit the 2 videos and probably upload them at the same time. That way you get part 1 and part 2 right away. Um, now what am I working on? I'm working on this French Napoleonic Commission, obviously, uh, and I'm going to continue this week. Hopefully, I'll be able to get. I thought I'd have it finished this weekend, but some things came up that kind of slowed me down. So hopefully, I'll get these done by this weekend. This and the cavalry that's in the box on the table over there. Now, news, right? I actually have some news. And there is 2 sales going on my store right now. If you go to my eBay store, you'll find a 15% off. What was going through my mind was 15%, 15 millimeter. So I got 15% off of Old Glory and Plastic Soldier Company. So those 2 companies, those 2 brands have a 15% off. And then I have the second sale, which is a 20% off. And I was thinking 20 for 25s, right? So 20% off for Warlord games and Victrix models. So if you were to shop for Warlord or Victrix, you would get a 20% off. Now, this is so I've only been doing these sales pretty heavily over the last maybe 4 months, and I've learned something from eBay. When you do a sale, if someone adds a sale item into their cart, right? Any number of items, and then if they throw a sale item in there, they cannot request an invoice. They cannot, and I don't know why they can't request an invoice, because it would just be me giving you the cost. Because each item has its own shipping value. And let's say each item has a $4 shipping, and hypothetically. And then let's say they put 10 items in there. Well, now they're going to be paying $40 in shipping. And when I package them, I try to combine the packages so that my customer will receive 1 box instead of 10. So by doing that, instead of, because the way the postal service works is it doesn't like add $4 on for every ounce, right? It adds like $4 for the first 5 ounces, and then every 5 ounces after that, it might be $1 or something, right? So it winds up being about $15, right? Hypothetically, I'm just throwing numbers out there. So with it being $15, the customer should be saving about $25, right? So what I have to do is, unfortunately, once I package it and ship it, I go back into eBay and I hit the refund. I go refund $25, right? But that does tie up the $40 for that customer. It's tied up until he gets the refund. But I can't get around that, because whenever you put a discounted item, something that's on sale, into your cart, it prevents combined shipping for some reason. I don't know why. Now, one of my customers suggested it was because I don't have a shipping rule. Well, I do have shipping rules. And he also suggested that maybe it's because, I'm trying to remember what the other reason was. But it's irrelevant, because I checked and that doesn't apply to me. I double checked all my settings and everything, so it's just the way it is. Hell, you're already getting 15 to 20% off anyway, so it's think of it like a coupon that you're going to get your money in 3 or 4 days once I apply the refund, because that's kind of the way it is if you get multiple items, which a lot of people are doing, and I don't mind sending refunds. Finally, last topic before I end the video is Old Glory. They have a Christmas sale every year. They have a Christmas sale. So I took advantage of this Christmas sale and I ordered a bunch of Napoleonic models. Uh, some ancients, not many, but like the enemies of the triumvirate, I didn't have any of those. So I ordered two of those because I'm going to keep one for myself. Okay, so, and there's a couple of other models that I ordered that I don't normally carry, but I thought it would be good to have in the store, Napoleonic wise as well. I've really focused on the Waterloo period with the British, the Brunswick, the Nassau, the Dutch Belgians, the Hanoverians, the French, of course, and the Prussians, right? But I've been contemplating starting, collecting for the store, not for me, but for the store, started collecting like Russians and Austrians and maybe some minor nations. But I want to make sure that I've got the 100 days battles covered before I start breaking out and trying to get additional figures. But I did put a pretty sizable order in. It's probably not going to get here till mid-January. So we'll look forward to that as well. Oh, and V&V. V&V, their models look great. So far, I'm super happy with what I've seen from the V&V models. They're highly detailed, more detailed than I need, really. I mean, they're like the horse. The reins on the horse are they're beautiful not beautiful, but there's like holes and it's clean and the reins look like reins. They don't look like a clump of metal on the front of a horse. They look really good. So I contacted them to set up a retail account, which I've already done. And now I can start placing orders through V&V as Wargaming in Miniature. And they have some weird rules on ordering. They want you to order an entire product line to get the discount. They said you don't have to, but they just prefer it that way. So what I need to do is like make a spreadsheet, because they didn't give me a spreadsheet or an order form or anything like that. So what I'm going to have to do is go in and create my own spreadsheet with all their product numbers and items and costs and stuff, and try to put something together and then send it off to them so that they can create these miniatures and send them to me. And then I can put them on the store and you guys can take advantage of it. So that, but that I probably won't send that out until after the new year. And then it did take about 3 weeks for me to get the items. So I probably won't see them till February, to be honest. I'm just, keeping you guys in the loop. All right, guys, thank you for coming out and checking out this video. And I will see you next week on another Wargaming in Miniature. All right, guys, we are done with that recording. Now we can get back to being live. Okay, I did that, and then later when this is over with, I will update that. I got a couple of chats while we were waiting. Squirrel says, "Heyo," and then he also says, "I think Major Militum is sell all its stock." Okay, so I think Squirrel is saying that Magister Militum has a big sale, and if you want to go check them out, you go right ahead. I had bought some miniatures from them back over a year ago, probably. They were 10 millimeter. I ordered a bunch of 10 millimeter Napoleonics because I thought I was going to do 10 millimeter miniatures. I wound up not doing them. Oh yeah, I wanted to do something today before I did these. Okay, well, if I've got time, I'll do it after these. I was going to take a couple of my 28 millimeter miniatures over there, and I was going to rebase them for Meg, right? So there would be a giant base. It's like 60 by 30 or something, right? With like 3 to 4 miniatures on the base. So I think I'm going to do that, but I might do that tomorrow, or I might do that after I do a little bit of painting on these. Okay, so we're just going to start off by using this color right here today. I'm using Mage Hunter Green. It's kind of a lighter green. It's a color that normally sometimes I'll use on like Shakos and stuff, but it's not exactly that color. But I'm going to, because it's kind of a, I don't know, you can kind of see the color that it is. I'm going to be painting their water bottles with this color. Now, not every one of these miniatures has a water bottle. So I'm going to have to search for which ones have a water bottle and which ones don't. And before we do that, it's glasses switch time. So I can see. I don't need this. This is only when I use them. Oh, hold on. Yeah, my wife is homesick today. She is having a bad way about it. She's got this nasty cough that just won't go away. And you can tell it's a deep cough. Like it's coming from the diaphragm. And she doesn't know how to sit down and just relax. And if you're wondering why I have this finger cover on, you can see that there's a bandage underneath because I had a pretty nasty blister on this finger, which it's healing up, but I put the cover to keep the bandage from coming off. And it keeps the bandage from getting dirty and all that too. Okay, so 1 out of 3. Okay, there's 4 miniatures, right? There's 3 line. And then there's the elite guys. I don't think there's any water bottles on the elite guys. But 1 out of 3 of the line guys is going to have a water bottle. And it is, they don't all have to be the same color. They could be different colors. Just depends on the color of the water bottle that the soldier's actually carrying. But because these guys are early war French, when they were well equipped, I figured it would be good to make them all the same. Plus, you're not really going to pay attention to that on the table anyway. And I make this comment sometimes. If you're the kind of person that notices it, okay, that's cool, because you're like appreciative of someone's efforts to paint, their figures, and you you're into that kind of thing. But if you complain about it, like, why are all of their things green? Some of them should be red. Some of them should be, darker than others. And if you're that kind of person, I don't think I would ever play with you again. If I go to somebody's house, let's just say, and we're playing with his painted miniatures, or I might have some painted miniatures and he's got some painted miniatures, or whatever, and I'm looking at his paint jobs and I'm like, oh, okay, so, if I see something that I think is wrong, I'm not gonna, I might advise him or ask him, why he painted it that way, or, is that some kind of special unit or something, because he might know something I don't know. And if he's like, no, I just thought it would look better that way or whatever, I would just move on. I would just say, in my head canon, I'm like, okay, he doesn't know what he's doing. But I'm not going to say something to the guy. And if I invite a friend over that paints his figures with a toothpick, and he sees my figures and he says, man, you could have done a better job painting those guys, or wow, I can't believe you used a dark blue when you should have been using a light blue. Yeah, I'm just making stuff up. That's those paint jobs, they really could use some work. I'd be like, oh, thanks. Appreciate it. I'll see you never. I don't like surrounding myself with assholes. That's basically what I'm saying. And I don't want to be that guy either. I don't want to be an asshole. So let's turn this into role playing. Right? So I got some players, and a couple of them know the rules, and some of them don't. It goes, I spent a good, I don't know, 5 minutes at the end of our character creation session pointing something out. I didn't call anybody's names out or point any individual out. But what I was noticing during character creation was a couple of people were rules lawyering. Right? They were like, are we supposed to be doing this? Are we supposed to be doing that? How come you had me roll one die to do this? They weren't rude about it. It wasn't uncalled for because they were correct, right? And I was wrong. I just noticed it. That's all I'm saying. I just noticed that they had that penchant to correct. And so I made a point to share with them that during the game, if I say something, don't correct me. Right? Like, if I say a laser does 10 die of damage when in the book it only does 2, don't correct me. I also mentioned that there might be a reason why it's violating the rules, or it also might be that I made a mistake. That's okay. Ignore it. Move on. You know, I was trying to tell the players, you don't need to have the rule book to play the game. You only need to listen to what I tell you is happening, and you tell me what you want to do. Okay, here's the elites. And none of them have a water bottle. Okay. I went ahead and colored all their pom-poms. Now, in the past, I vacillate between two different ways to do pom-poms. Because the pom-poms, there's like 6 different pom-pom colors, right? You got the 4 center companies, the light company, and I'm going to say light and heavy, but it's Voltigeurs and Grenadiers. And so there's 6 different pom-pom colors. But the Grenadiers and the Voltigeurs, you can't really change those. Those are going to be the same in every unit. Well, that's not really true, because you can see on this stick how they've got red tops, they've got green tops, they've got green bottoms all across there. Those are variations based on the battalion that they're in. But normally I will do like all of one battalion, because it's only 24 figures, right? But even then, it's not 24 figures because of the Grenadiers and the Voltigeurs. You got to pull them out. So it's really only like, and then the officers. So you really only have like 3 bases of line company. And so that's really only like 12 figures. So what I do is, what I have done, I vacillate. I go back and forth on which way I want to do it. But sometimes I'll do an entire battalion as if it's one company. So like, I'll take the orange pom-pom and I'll do the entire battalion with orange pom-poms. And then the second battalion, you know, I'll do all with light blue pom-poms. And then when you field all these battalions on the table, you get the effect of having those multiple company colors, right? And but then I go back and forth and say, maybe I should just do a couple of figures in every battalion with the proper colors, and then there'll be a mixture in every battalion like there should be. I still need to go through and refresh my brushes. Okay. Okay, so we're just going to do boots. And I'm using rubber black for that. Not the gaiters, just the bottoms, just the under gaiters, you know, like where the actual boot is at. That's what we're going to do. We're going to do those. And it's all we're going to do. And then we'll step up to another thing. What I try to do is just one thing at a time, not one color at a time. It winds up being a one color at a time, but sometimes, like, I'll paint something 2 or 3 different things, the same color, but that just means I'll be going back to that color. But I try to focus on things. And because I'm not really worried about the gaiters getting a little bit of discoloration, I'm going to use a bigger brush so that I get more coverage. Probably should go bigger than that, actually. Yeah, where's my giant brush? There's one of them. I thought I had a giant brush down here. That's not it. No. I was wondering, maybe it rolled off and... Yeah, I need to refresh some of these brushes. Starting to show a little bit of wear. Oh, wait, maybe these are the brushes. This guy's just too... Yep, this is a good one. All right. So let me mix up my water with my paint. Too thick. Already too thick. I can see I didn't put enough water. One of the reasons why I'm thinning it is because it'll spread the pigment out, separate the pigment. And so when I'm painting, it'll do a couple of things. When I'm painting on the boots, it'll automatically highlight, any raised areas of the boot, but it'll also prevent any brush strokes. Now I found really dark colors like black. You can thin it out quite a bit and it'll still have a good pigment. Black and white are kind of strange that way. Yeah, this isn't thin enough, I don't think. And you can see I'm not concerning myself with staying inside any lines or anything. I'm not getting a good focus. There we go. I'm just slapping it on. I'm not I'm not trying to keep it inside the margins or anything. There we go. That's a lot of water now. It's almost 50%. It's 6 drops paint, 5 drops water. I want it to be very thin for this purpose. Oh yeah, there we go. And the reason why I don't care if I get it on the gator or whatever, because I'm still painting the gator gray. I think the Necromancer cloak might be a little too light, because it needs to be almost a black gray, kind of the way this is. But I want it to be a little bit off color so that you can distinguish that it's not part of the boot, it's actual the gator. Now I'm getting paint on the little plastic base as well. Um, that's perfectly fine. Because once I go to mount these, I think I'm going to paint the base like a medium brown, uh, just to help the base blend in with the texture paste when I do that. At least that's the idea. What's funny about this is it's not hard at all. It's just time consuming. So my football team, the Titans, and the Dolphins, those are my two teams, are both playing tonight against each other on Monday Night Football. So no matter who wins, I win. I really suspect it to be the Dolphins because of their record. You know, they're like 9-3 or something like that. And the Titans are like 4-7 or 4-8, or I don't remember. But yeah, they got over twice as many wins. But we'll see. You never know. If the Titans pull out a win, it'll shock everybody. They'll be like, oh my gosh, how did they do that? We really don't have a good team this year, to be honest. I look at the players and I'm like, really? We need to get some players desperately. We got a handful of good players, but the rest of them are all jokes. They're just filling a slot. You know, they have no loyalty to the coach or his plan. I think the coach is losing the locker room, to be honest. But I'm not there. I don't know. I don't go to any of the press conferences or anything. It's just my gut telling me that. So I told these guys, I'm going back to Traveler. So I told these guys that I don't want to hear any rules lawyering. I didn't say it exactly like that. Basically, I said that if there's a rules dispute, just roll with it. Because if you start bringing up the rules and talking about the rules, all you're doing is slowing the game down. The game's about the story and not about the rules. Yeah, so she's probably going to be coming and going constantly in and out because she just doesn't know how to sit down and relax. She's sick, she's got a cough. Well, I don't know if she's sick really. She just has like this nasty cough that she can't shake. Just not wired like that. I'm the other way around. Get me sick, I roll around in bed. But then again, I don't go run to the hospital either. You know, she's kind of like, I think this is true of all women. I think I read a report or something. So I watch quite a bit of YouTube, right? And something popped up in my feed that I hadn't seen in, I don't know, a bunch of years. UFO. Remember that old TV series? UFO? Colonel Striker, Shadow, and the moon base and all that. It showed up, and I was like, you know what? I'm going to watch it. I remember it's a TV series, so I don't know how many episodes there are. Um, but I watched the first one. It's kind of like a pilot. And, but it was like an hour and a half long. And then I looked at the playlist where this came from, and all the episodes are like an hour and a half long. I could have swore they were only an hour. I don't know, but it's good. I don't mind an hour and a half episode. And I watched the making of Shadow or whatever. It's like the very first episode, and uh, supposed to be taking place in 1970. These UFOs are nothing's proven or whatever, and then they're actually able to prove it. They find a hostile alien spacecraft and stuff, and so they decide to plan. They decide to plan. They planned on building a organization, international organization that's going to be able to combat these aliens. So it reminds me of like XCOM or the Xenonauts. And they use a lot of the puppeteering, a lot like Captain Scarlet or the Thunderbirds when it comes to the vehicles and the spacecraft. Um, but it's live action. It's not, they're not puppets. And takes 10 years for them to get this organization up and running where they've got a moon base and interceptors that can go after these alien spacecraft and all that. And when it advanced 10 years, it was supposed to be 10 years in the future. 1980. Everything's futuristic in 1980. Yeah, it was. Back when that came out, that was the future. They got weird cars and weird business suits. Sci-fi, it's all sci-fi and stuff in 1980. I'm like, okay, just look past that, suspend my disbelief and all that. And it's actually a good, it's one of my favorite TV series of all time, actually. It's not good, to be honest. It's really not that good, but it is my favorite. I don't know. I just like that campiness or whatever, the fake sci-fi or the fake historical sci-fi, if you want to call it that. Like Space 1999, that was a spin-off from the UFO series. It was supposed to be tied together, but they movie studios and executives and actors and all that kind of stuff kind of switched around a little bit. And so then Space 1999 basically became its own series, completely separate from UFO. The Eagle lander from Space 1999 was, I think, my very first model kit I've ever put together and built. AMT model. I think it was AMT. I don't remember. A long time ago. And it was before 1999. 1999 was in the future. I think I built that in the 80s. And Space 1999, it's not very good either. Really wasn't that good. Looking back on it, you're like, really? Really isn't that good. I mean, the acting is okay, but the costumes are like just that, costumes. And the science was written by a teenager, apparently. But just think of this. You have the moon, okay? The moon. And you have nuclear waste storage on the moon. If you're going to invest to fly it to the moon, why not just send it into deep space or send it to the sun? You know, why store it? But either way, they stored it, and then it exploded. Okay, spoilers. Causing the moon to fly through space. Okay, just that alone is ridiculous. Okay, but hypothetically, let's say there was a big enough explosion that was like a rocket that caused the moon to leave orbit. Okay, and they've got a moon base, so they're able to survive. But here comes the next half of the implausible, there's no way this could possibly happen. It's moving so fast that they're going to leave the solar system. That means they've broken away from all gravitational pull from the sun. There's no like orbit or anything. They are rocketing to deep space on this moon. Okay, you know how much thrust you would have to get the moon to leave our solar system? Okay, let's just play with it and say, okay, sure, there was enough thrust to do that. If that was the case, you know what would have happened to the people sitting on the moon? They would all be grease stains on the bottom of the moon base. It wouldn't have been 1 or 2 Gs. To get the moon to move, that sucker had to have really had some thrust. Now, if it was a continuous thrust, like it was like burning for hours and hours and hours, okay, I could see where it would be like a gradual buildup of speed and that everybody could have lived. But that's not the way they explained it. It was like a big blast, an instantaneous thrust, causing the moon to leave the solar system. Now, if they had some kind of like technology where they had like artificial gravity inside the moon base, and they were able to, like, if it maintained their gravity and it could counteract the inertia of the thrust that's sending the moon out, in that case I'd be like, okay, I can dig it. But my understanding is, well, I guess they had to have something like that because when they're in the moon base, they're not at like 0 G or 0.1 G, whatever the moon generates. It looked like they're at a full G, so they must have some kind of gravity generating ability on the moon or the moon base. So maybe it's unwritten, not explained. They should have explained it. I think I'm coming to the end of the amount of the black that I've prepared. I'm going to have to thin up some black. Ready? Starting to get a little chilly. Might have to put my sweatshirt on. We'll do it after this color. That time I did like 9 drops. Probably too many. That was 6 drops. So I had some packages go out today. I almost wasn't able to put them all in the mailbox. They were all like big items. I got it in there. I do the Tetris thing. I tilt and turn, twist. They say, okay, got them in. Now there is one more item that needs to go that came in real late this morning. So I didn't have it already prepared and ready to go out. It'll go out tomorrow. It's a smaller item too. It's not like a 4x6 box probably. Yeah, last night I was packing up about 5 Victrix items. And Victrix, those are big items. They're long. They're on sprues, and these sprues are wide and long, and they stack like 5 or 6 of these sprues in one bag. So each bag is ginormous. And this one guy had ordered like 5 Victrix items. So I got a box to put them all in, and everything was good until I got to the last item. It just wouldn't fit in this box. So I was like, okay, I gotta up the size of my box. So I've got boxes like tucked all over the place, different sizes. But I had this one box and I was like, okay, it'll fit in this. And I put everything in that box, and there was like this huge amount of empty space in this box. I was like, okay, this box is too big. So then I went with another box. I went with like 5 boxes until I found the right one. What's funny is it wasn't, um, it was one of my boxes that I had a bunch of other stuff in. I was like, you know what? I'm going to empty that box out and I'm going to use it to ship. And that's what I did. I took all the junk out of that box so that I could use it to ship. While I'm thinking about it, I'm going to go ahead and paint these eagles black as a base coat, undercoat. They're going to be gold, but gold doesn't like to go on top of white. So I'm going to paint them black, and then we'll put the gold on top of the black. I know I'm very I'm varying from what I was going to paint. I was just going to paint their boots. but I'm doing it because I'm thinking about it. I don't want to forget. And I think I mixed a little bit too much black, so I've got, I'm probably going to have enough to do these. Oh, I hope. Yep. All right, that's good. Now let's get back to the book. Now, some of these guys, like the officers, um, aren't wearing gaiters. They actually have boots. Um, so in that case, I'll paint them up to uh, I'll paint them up to if they have a top that folds down. I won't paint the fold because that's going to be like a brown, which would have been the inside color of the boot, suede brown kind of thing. But if it's pulled up over their knee, then I'll just have to be careful and paint up over. We're not doing officers. We're doing standard bearers right now, which are NCOs probably. I don't think they're officers. I think they're NCOs. Chosen men. Might be ensigns. Yeah, if I got a poll on the channel, guys, if you guys are, it's active. Went active, I think last night, where I'm asking for your opinion on what you think might be an interesting basing for some ancients. Um, I know that there's people out there that play with skirmish ancients and they use round bases. And there are people out there that skirmish maybe with square bases. Um, and then there's a lot of people out there that play Hail Caesar style bases like Sword Point or Spear Point. But I'm not really asking. I pretty much have already made up my mind. Don't get me wrong. I pretty much have already made up my mind. I'm going to do some ancient uh, wargaming bases like Meg or Field of Glory or DBA or DBM, DBX, that kind of those kind of bases. But I'm just interested to see like what the percentages are. Or like if you play SPQR, put it down. Like say I do 25 millimeter round bases, and that's your vote. But if you were thinking about doing like Meg or some kind of Field of Glory or something like that, and put that down instead, because that'll basically give me an idea of what people are thinking. Because I've got some ancients over there on my shelf that I mounted on 25 millimeter square bases. And they've been there for 6 months. That tells me that there's not a market for that. So those 25 millimeter square bases for those ancient models, I want to get away from that. Now I thought about round because of SPQR. But I don't really know how popular SPQR really is. Almost all the ancient games that I see being played are mass, multiple figures on a base type games. So if I rebased them for Hail Caesar, they probably would sell. But I don't want to neglect the Field of Glory, DBA, Meg crowd either. So I don't know. And that's why I'm doing that poll, to kind of see where everybody's head's at. I think I want to base some of them on round bases, some of them on Hail Caesar bases, and some on Meg, and just post them like that, and then see which one sells, and then I'll know, because money talks. The Hail Caesar based figures sell, then maybe that's the way I'll base them going forward. And I want to take some of my Napoleonic figures, not a lot of them, maybe a battalion or two, maybe a French battalion and maybe a English battalion, and rebase them for Meg. Because that's, I think, I'm leaning 99%, that's the way I'm going to write my rules. It's basically going to be like Meg Napoleonics. And then once I get them rebased, then I can kind of play test. I can visualize in my head a playtest combat and melee, which is combat, and movement, mana control, all that kind of stuff. Now I'm kind of disappointed in my players. Um, because not one of them, well, only one of them, I should say, only one of them turned his camera on. And so I can't see their faces. So when someone talks, I don't know who that is. I don't know these people yet. Right? So a lot of them, I don't recognize their voices. Now, Mason and James, I've been gaming with them for a long time. I know their voices. All the other guys, it's going to take me a couple of sessions to recognize their voices and know who is talking. But that's not why I'm disappointed. It's partially why I'm disappointed. But I'm disappointed because I'm live streaming, or will be live streaming the games, and it'll have my camera on up in the corner, right? But nobody else's camera. So what that means is the audience will also struggle identifying who is talking and who's acting. It makes me feel like we're playing a text role-playing game. Because if you don't see, I understand its voice, but if you don't see a face and see emotions and see facial expressions or hand gestures, then what are you doing? Just playing a role playing over a telephone. And that's kind of disappointing. I allowed it. I allowed it because I wanted to make sure we got enough players. I should have made camera mandatory. And I'm gonna kind of subtle hint that I'm gonna say something like, okay, we're gonna try this for a while without cameras, and I'm gonna see how that goes. Um, and if it doesn't work out, then the campaign will just be over. And kind of nudge them into turning their cameras on. I'm going to drop like subtle hints every game. Okay, we played, we didn't have our cameras on, so I didn't know who was talking. And the next game I'll say, well, we're going to keep trying this no camera action and see how it goes and see if I like it, or See if we need to make a change. Because there's players out there with cameras that want to play. You know, that kind of stuff. And then just see if they start turning the cameras on. I'm going to have my camera on, so I don't have a problem. As you can already tell, I don't have a problem being on camera. I've got a lot of physical flaws, you know. I'm not a pretty. I'm not pretty. I'm not handsome, you know. Okay, maybe I am, but I can't. I don't know. But either way, it doesn't. That I don't care. Now I don't. Part of this is I don't understand. I have a failure to understand why someone wouldn't turn their camera on. And the reason why I say that is everybody that's in the game right now, playing the game, that made characters, they all seem like if they turned their camera on, they would just look like a normal person. They wouldn't be a hideous monster. So I don't understand why people don't just turn their freaking camera on. Now, if you don't have a camera, I understand that. Because then you can't turn it on. Don't have one. Okay, this guy's got a boot that's been folded over. So I'm painting under the fold. Now I could get away with, because could have gotten away with painting his boot like a really dark brown. No need for that. Okay. You know, this guy's got pants that hide his gaiters. I'm just going to paint under the pants. Okay. Yeah, that's the same for both of these guys. Male person. That right. Okay, all their feet are done. Now the officers, boots folded. Those are boots pulled up over the knee. Okay, so they're a little bit different. Okay, so the boots folded, I'm only painting up to the fold. And then what I'll do with the fold is I'll paint it a lighter brown. Oh, and the last time I was on stream, I was like I don't know if I commented to you guys or if I was just complaining in my head, but I had a tan color out and I was racking my brain like, why do I have this color out? Because I've already painted everything that was going to be tan. And then I realized, oh yeah, the drum. Yeah, the canvas, or not canvas, I guess it's leather stretched. I needed to paint that. that tan color, which I've already done. Okay, so these boots I'm gonna pay a little bit more attention. Actually, even the backs look like they're covered. They're not like those cavalry boots that have the back of the knee cut out. And I'm having no problem getting the black on the sword sheath. I'm going to be painting it black as well. Whoops, my finger slipped. Yay, got one boot. All right, he's good. Surprisingly doing I'm surprisingly doing remarkably well with this giant brush. Not really detailing, I'm just painting large areas. Oh, that's two officers. Got enough black mixed that I'm probably going to want to hit something else that's going to be black. Like the brims of all their Shakos. I probably should. Well, that's really only the ones with the covers on it. All the other Shakos I think I've already hit. That's just part of the Shako color. Go to what? Okay, good. Inside and out. Okay. Checking to make sure I didn't miss a spot. Under the boots. All right. Let's do some brims. Not them. Not them. Yes. I'm using my fingers here to hold my other fingers and the stick and the brush all together as one entity. So that if one shakes, the other one shakes as well. So they all shake together. Right. One set of brims. Yeah, my focus is starting to wane. I'm having to kind of really adjust my eyes a little bit. All right, so we got some black brims on there. But we're not done because I still have a few covered Shakos around. I gotta just locate them. Gotta do under the brims as well sometimes, so they don't stand out as being incomplete. Glory dudes have covered chick. Now the cuffs of almost all these have red cuffs, And some of these cuffs sit on or next to their muskets. And I kind of looked at the models and I saw that if I do the cuffs, then I might mess them up when I come back and do the muskets. So I think I'm going to hold off on doing their cuffs until after I do their muskets. This guy has something on his waist that like an ammo cartridge case, but it's on the front, and I overlooked it when I was painting it. Did it now while I'm thinking about it. Okay. Under their brims because they look white. And two of these generals have. I said general, well, they're just an officer. Probably a colonel. Okay. I'm moving on to some sword sheaths. I'm going to paint these black. Okay. You can see the sheath from the other side. Need to give it a little love. Gotta hold it in such a way that the light shine down in there so I can see what I'm doing, you know? Okay. Come at him from the backside. So I watched the what is it, the third or the fourth or whatever it is, Republican debate with Vivek and Ron DeSantis, Nikki Haley, and Chris Christie. And in my opinion, Vivek Ramaswamy, right, just crushed it, just obliterated the Nikki Haley and Chris Christie. And Ron DeSantis basically just held his own. You know, was he wasn't bad, he wasn't good. It was just he was kind of neutral, right? That's in my opinion. And then I see all these news outlets saying that Ramaswamy was dismantled or destroyed or he had the worst outcome. And that Nikki Haley and Chris Christie came out on top. And I'm like, These guys, they're either stupid, which I doubt if they are. They might be. They're either stupid or they're lying. They're trying to manipulate people into believing that Vivek is not a good candidate. Because I think they're afraid of him. Because he's almost like a Trump 2.0. Which I think is a good thing. Um, I'm a Trump fan. I have always liked Trump um, as a candidate and as a president. And there's people out there that don't like him. Okay, I get it, but I don't know why. I don't know why they don't like him. Mainly because they're sensitive. You know what I mean? Like they're pussies. And he hurts their feelings because he has mean tweets. Oh my gosh. I'm sorry, I grew up in an age where I have a little bit thicker skin, I think. It doesn't bother me if somebody. If, well, first of all, I want my president to have a backbone. You know, I want him to have opinions. I don't necessarily want, I, I don't want them to be wrong opinions, but at least some opinion is better than no opinion. And I want him to vocalize those. I'm doing their little sword uh, swords that the elites have. Now I notice the lights have like a wrap that wraps around their swords. I don't know what that is. I'm painting it black. Maybe it's a like their helmet covers. It's like a cover to protect their sword sheath, like an oil wrap. I suspect that's what it is. So over the last maybe 2 years, my eyes have really been opened when it comes to the Democratic Party. I thought they were just, hippies, you know, wanting uh, free free money, and peace and love and that kind of stuff. But the more that I learn, because over the last couple of years I've really been locked in on politics, I see now that Democratic Party are evil. I mean, literally, good versus evil. I never would have said that before because I thought people are just people. but I was misled by the media. Now that I kind of see the games that they're playing, now I start to not take them for their word. I have to evaluate and because before I was a useful idiot. I was just the guy that went along, you know, I believed what was being said. Now, I've always been a Republican because the Republican Party stands for um, values, Christianity, strong moral values, and law and order, that kind of stuff, which I'm a big proponent of good guy, good guy energy. And that's the Democrats don't have the good guy energy. They've got the evil villain energy. But I've always thought that that was just me, you know, just me looking into it. But now that I've really kind of looked into it, yeah, they're 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 bad people. And I know that now I'm talking about the party, not necessarily individuals that vote that way, because I feel like there are people out there like myself that believe media and they, you know, it's a trusted source. It's you know, they wouldn't lie to me kind of scenario. Where in reality, yes, they will. I think what they're doing to Donald Trump is wrong and evil. You know, indicting him for a ham sandwich. He hasn't done anything wrong, in my opinion. I'm sure he's done something wrong. Don't get me wrong. I think everybody in the world does things wrong from time to time, but not to the level of needing to be arrested. I don't think he's a criminal. He needs to be arrested. He might be an asshole, but I want my president to be an asshole. You know what I mean? I hope so. Now, the Grenadiers' swords are a lot easier to identify. So I'm painting not just the sheath, I'm also painting the hilt and the quillions because I'm going to be painting those metallic. And as you know, metallic goes on top of black and not white. So anytime I'm going to paint something metallic, I paint it black first, or try to. It doesn't always happen. Like I even considered on those officers painting their epaulets black because they're going to be silver and gold when I get around to them. But knowing I was going to be doing these swords, I said, nope, let's not do that. Saving the paint, basically. I'll get back to them if I have extra paint. A lot of blue on the insides of these swords got to get, which is fine because gold will probably go on top of blue as well, but I don't want to risk it. I'm sure you can hear my wife. She's constantly coughing. Not constantly, frequently. So you understand what's going on with her. Yeah, starting at the first of the month, next month, first of the year, my commission prices are changing. They're going up, not down. And I'm going to tell you my thought. I'm going to tell you what I was thinking when I started this business. I wasn't sure how well it would go, right? I was apprehensive. I didn't know. So I said to myself, okay, I'm going to charge for commission painting, but I don't know how well it's going to go. So maybe I should charge really low prices, right? Because I wanted the business and I thought the low prices would attract customers, right? Which it did. I'm sure it did. And I was basing my prices on minimum wage. time to paint, minimum wage. But there were some things that I didn't calculate into those prices, like cost of paint, brushes that I have to repair or replace, glue, flock, all those costs I absorb. And so it's come to my conclusion, or my attention, that I'm undercharging. I'm still making a profit, but I'm making less than minimum wage. And that's not acceptable to me. And that's where I'm coming from. So that's the name of that too. Not going to go up much. But the commission part of my business is actually not even necessary. Right? This is kind of like a bonus on top of my eBay store. eBay store sustains me. I make quite a bit there. So I have to balance what I'm making on the eBay store, because I sell painted miniatures there too, versus my commissions. Not worth it. I could be painting and putting it on my eBay store and be making more. So I don't mind doing commissions, right? Because that's kind of like like I said, a bonus. But the commissions have got to be worth it. If I raise my prices and I lose customers, that's okay. But looking around at some of these other people that do commissions, I'm like half of what they're charging. And I looked at their models and I'm like, they're charging that for that? Not even well painted. Now, some of them are extremely well painted, but their prices are really high too. So you got to make a decision. Do you want to pay like through the ass for a great paint job? Or do you want to pay like a reasonable amount for a good paint job? And that's what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to do a reasonable amount for a good paint job. Okay. What happens? Drop. Over the last couple of days, we've had some power outages. The power would flicker or it would actually just shut off. But then it would come right back on, um, like 10 minutes later. That tells me that it's not a problem with a tree knocking a power line down uh, or something blowing up or whatever. That tells me that they just don't have enough power to go around. Now, we did have some tornadoes come through and really devastate some areas. But if that was to affect the power, shouldn't it be like long term until it gets fixed? Unless there's some kind of automatic reroute where like it reroutes the power through another transformer. I don't know how it's set up. I'm just happy we have power. I'm also happy that when it went out, it came right back on. Not sure, but I'm going to paint that black because I think that's just the way the mold, because it's a metal miniature and it's supposed to be a sword sticking out the back of his behind his coattail. Now these drummers have swords as well. They've got those little brass tips on the end of their swords. Going pretty smoothly. I say that, and a piece of metal that needed to be fixed. But it came up really easy. So far, so good. Now, these guys are not elite. They have swords. They've got like little bayonet things, but not swords. Oh yeah, I've got a little bit extra black, so kind of just spreading it around. The actual sword that's out of the sheath, I'm going to paint black because I'm going to paint it metallic. Like I said, any metallic item needs to be black first. These guys are probably wearing gloves, not flesh. But I need to paint the little built-in quillions. Oh, it's okay because I haven't painted the gloves yet. I think I'm going to rebase those Celts off camera. And those Brits and French, 15mm Brits and French, I'm going to base those cameras. Normally I would paint bayonets this color. Still could do. I got quite a bit of this black left. doing their epaulets, like I said, because it's going to be a metallic. It's going to be gold or silver, depending on their rank. Also, their little gorget should be metallic as well, but don't worry about that, right? These guys don't have epaulets. Okay, interesting. They must be like the Kyurgen. Oh yeah, I almost forgot. There's something else I want to pick black. Do it. Some of these guys have cooking pots on. Now I noticed that the Waterloo French have a different backpack um, accessories. Some of them have shoes that are strapped to the outside of the backpack, where I would think that if you had a pair of shoes, you would put them inside your back. I don't know. That's just me. Unless they were wet and you were trying to dry them out. Now, this color is good for cast iron. You don't even have to add any metallic to it unless you want to. Now, I've got some iron paint that I think I'm gonna maybe dry brush onto these. but it's unnecessary. And the color I'm using is rubber black, and I'm painting a lot of things that are not rubber with. Because I don't think it's a good tire color. I think it's a really good felt color. And cast iron, actually. Yep. 1 out of 3 backpacks should have this cast iron pot, which I think is a little bit too many. I ordered some Christmas presents last week. Hopefully they'll get here before Christmas. Hopefully they like them. There's two things, one practical and one emotional. We'll see. Okay, the black's coming to an end. I don't want to mix up another batch of black. A couple of Now they've got these pewter mugs. I should probably hit black as well. But pewter, I think, goes on top of white okay. But I probably should hit black. Okay. And these I've already done as an experiment. Touch some. Have any of that stuff? Except for maybe this guy. Come on. Yeah, this guy here is gonna have to get fixed. Well, messed him up. All right, I can pick. Why though? I got it all over the brown. All right, let's do the cups. Oh, I'm thinking about it. Backwards. This doesn't have to be perfect because it's just preparing it for the metal. Yeah, with every color, they look closer and closer to being finished. Oy. I feel like I'm flying through these pewter mugs. I do plan to wash the figures before I do the white. Um, White straps, white turnbacks, white gloves, anything like that. Anything that's white, I'm going to do after I wash. So it won't be dirty because the wash will dirty up any whites, which is not a bad thing. I mean, it looks worn, but that's not the look I'm going for. I'm going for a clean white strap. Now the pants, they can be dirty. Not too good. Sounds like the news is still talking about those tornadoes and the amount of damage they did in this area. Because it's rare, we don't normally get a lot of tornadoes in this area. I don't even remember when the last tornado, probably before my time. all the cups. Now I know I need to put my sweatshirt on. I muted because of the dishes. I want to paint their gaiters, but I want it to be a slightly lighter, but not too light gray or dark black, or like a light black. Dark sea blue, nope. See, I've got this necromancer cloak, but I think it's gonna be too light. I'm gonna do an experiment. Gonna experiment on one figure. Because that looks dark, but we'll see. This necromancer's cloak looks a lot like German gray. The water in it. Necromancer's cloak. Hmm. I get him done, I'll show him off. And it will take a moment to try. When it does, it darkens. An experiment. Necromancer's Cloak, or German Gray. It's pretty much the same. Oh, thanks. Gray. German Gray. If that doesn't work, I might actually go with the pure German. All right, let's take a look at it. You guys can get a pretty good focus on it. You got the black shoes, and then a gray, a dark gray, super dark gray gator. Bottom these picks probably. Looking at it like this, I don't see that, but looking at it in the camera. Yeah, I mean, just the arm's distance rule or judgment, right, is about this far for the camera. I can't tell if it's focused or not. These glasses don't let me see the computer. Yeah. So on the table, that's going to look good, I think. Might not be dark enough. What do you guys think? It might be too gray. Might need to be darker. It probably needs to be darker. Okay. I'm going to give up on the... That's why we experiment, right? I'm going to try this smoke black. But I have a feeling that this rubber black and this smoke black are like exactly the same color. Actually, it's not. German tank crew. I'm going to try the smoke black. Give it a chance. It might be this might be a situation where I'm going to have to mix, but I don't want to do that. Never like doing it. Because you never get the second mixture exact same as the first time you did it. I don't. This second guy. If it has any different. If it has a different. Wet, it looks different. Darker. Wet. That a few seconds. It does have a different. Well, it's hard to tell. While I'm waiting for that first one to dry, I'll paint another one. I noticed it's after 1 o'clock. Started at 10. So we've been at this for over 3 hours. That's okay. I'm liking this color, so I'm going to continue on. Then I'll show the whole state. This is a different shade. Wet. I don't know what it's going to look like. Might be. They're so similar that it's worth effort of switching colors. I think musket and cuffs after the gators. And then I think I can apply a wash. No. Yeah, muskets in entirety. That's the wood and the metal. And then the gators. I'm sorry. Then the cuffs. And then hands. Because I waited to do hands until after I did the muskets. Yeah, the first one is still Necromancer's Cloak. Right, so you'll have that to compare against. The boots are rubber black. The gators are smoke black. I also need to write an email to one of my customers. He hasn't paid for his commission in a long time, so he's doing okay. There's something holding him up, which is fine. I mean, just let me know. But if there's no communication for 90 days, then I'm just going to assume it's abandoned. And then I'm going to stop writing the guy messages. Probably send him a final message saying, okay, I consider this abandoned and hopefully you wrong with you. But we're not that far. Now, different states have different abandonment rules, right? My state is 60 days. but not every state is 60 days. Some states are 90 days. So I've started rethinking my abandonment rules because I'm not doing business just in my state, right? Doing business across state lines. So I figured my abandonment rules should probably be 90 days. That way, if your state is 90 days, then we're still okay. I don't know if you guys know this, but I used to work at Best Buy. It was a good job. It was one of my favorite jobs, actually. Working with computers every day and working with customers, shopping for computers, checking out new product like graphics cards and processors and all that kind of jazz. That was my department. But I also did cameras too, which actually worked out really well because of my YouTube business. And knowing cameras actually helped out quite a bit. But my point is, I used to work in the Geek Squad, and they had a 90-day abandonment rule as well. What's funny is there were people that would bring a computer in to be repaired, and we would repair it and then contact them, letting them know what was wrong with it and how much it would cost to get it fixed or something like that. And they would never come back and pick up their computer. It would just be sitting there forever. And after 90 days, we would send it off to a place called the Geek City, where they would recycle all the parts. That's kind of where I learned about abandonment of items. I just, that wasn't something I really considered as a thing. I couldn't imagine taking my computer into a shop and then just leaving it there. Unless you're Hunter Biden. Okay, these guys are almost done. Then we can compare. Okay, I'm running out of paint, so I don't think I'm going to be able to get this last one. Okay. So We're just looking at gator colors right now. What color the gators are and do they work? Does this work? And remember that first one right there. That was Necromancer's Cloak. Come on, focus. Okay, let me get these. Let me get the right glasses on because maybe it is focused. Okay, there we go. Necromancer's Cloak. Right? Okay. Don't focus down here. Focus up here. And it's too light, right? Those gators. It's too light. But those gators, they almost look the same as the shoes, almost. They are there is a little bit of a shade difference, but not enough to okay, these last two you can really see the shade difference. But that's because it's wet, right? These guys down here are dry. So does that look gray? It kind of does. I don't know. They look so close it's almost not worth switching paints. Like this guy right here, you can really see the difference in the shoes and the gator. This guy too. But it's all right. It doesn't matter. If I use one color or the other, they both work. So I probably won't be using rubber black. I'll probably go ahead and use the smoke black because it is actually a different color. But we're not going to do that today or now. I'm going to end the video right here because it is 1:30. And I thank you all for hanging out and watching me paint. Also, I recorded that I recorded the store news update. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to edit that and upload that right away. And it's Amazon, so order from Amazon. What did I order? Wasn't it paint? Guess I'll just have to go open the box and find out. But either way, I'll be back on tomorrow. So, all right. And we'll continue working on these. If I feel like it, I might record my rebasing. Otherwise, I'm probably going to do it just off camera and just do it. All right, I'll catch you in the next one.